University of 2022 and quite frankly of 2021 as well. I am Becky LaVoy from the Fountain Hills Chamber of Commerce. I'm the CEO and President, and we are excited to bring you this educational opportunity here today. The educators, please welcome, please come on in, and there's multiple chairs, you just have to find a spot there. There are 5 different educators here today who are experts in their field and local Fountain Hills businesses. We had over 100 different business options for educators today, and these educators were vetted and we met multiple times to bring you this class today. Each one of them have hours of education for you, and I've given them 15 minutes to share with you today. I am the timekeeper, so educators, please do not be offended if I cut you off. I just want to allow enough time for all of our educators today. You do have a full packet of information, of resources that each one of them provided to us so that we can fit and prepare for you. On the left side, we did share some chamber upcoming events. If you're interested, we'd love to have you. Our chamber is community-minded, meaning it's not just for chamber members. We welcome our community and our residents to almost every single thing that we do. You might pay a little bit more if you're not a member to some paid options, but you're always welcome to everything that we do. Just some housekeeping items. Please help yourself, even while they're speaking. If you need a refill of coffee or juice, or just need that donut, please help yourself during the class today. There are 3 restrooms here in the chamber building. There's one upstairs through that room where the printer is, and there are 2 downstairs. There's an elevator if you need the elevator, or there's stairs right over there. You got up here, so you know that there's an elevator or stairs. And before I get started, do you have any basic housekeeping type questions? No? Okay. So our first educator here today is Althea Halchuck, and she is a new member with our Chamber of Commerce. Her company is Ending Well Patient Advocacy. Althea is the founder of Ending Well Patient Advocacy, focusing on end-of-life planning and helping people have a good death. She is a surrogate consultant for the Final Exit Network and counsels people trying to honor Advance Directives. She has a health law degree and is a certified deaf educator. Please welcome Althea Halchuck.
Oh my God, my time's ticking away. She's right, 15 minutes with all of this is incredible. First of all, there's a PowerPoint, some sheets in your packet, and it's probably going to be easier for you to follow along with the PowerPoint. This is the first one in your packet. You have 3 slides on each page with a room for notes. So welcome everyone. Thank you for coming out so early in the morning. And thank you to the Chamber for allowing me to give this presentation. This is my life. I love talking about end-of-life subjects. Advance directives are something everybody needs. So I'm going to be talking about taking death planning out of the closet because people don't like to talk about it. So I'll talk about the importance of advanced care planning, the different types of advance directives, and offer tips on choosing an effective surrogate. You have something in your packet too about tips on surrogates, and I'll talk about that. Listen to Ben. By failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail. And if you do that, not prepare, if other people can control your critical care when you can't speak for yourself. Often you'll get treatment that you might not have wanted, and people making decisions for you that you might not even know. Accidents happen every day. We're all going to die. I know. None of the people in here are going to die, including me, but this is for other people. So you need to prepare for your ending and do it right. To quote Emily Dickinson, "Because I could not stop the death, he kindly stopped for me." It's a great quote. But advanced planning isn't just for end of life. A medical crisis can happen in the blink of an eye. And how much worse would that car accident be if you were in a coma in an ICU with no directive and no surrogate? My 49-year-old brother-in-law had a massive stroke. He had no advance directive, and no surrogate. So his brothers got together and made healthcare decisions for him, which were not, by the way, what he wanted. So this is what happens when you don't plan. These kind of events are survivable, but living a good quality of life, or merely surviving, like my brother-in-law, can look very different. Please don't wait until it's too late or you're too sick to choose your future health care treatments. Next page. These girls are the poster girls for failing to prepare. You may have heard of them. Karen Ann Quinlan, Nancy Cruzan, and Terry Schiavo. Every competent adult over age 18 should have an advance directive. The college student, if you have one, they should have an advance directive. They were all in their 20s when they went into a coma. Karen Ann Quinlan, she was on diet drugs and she had alcohol at a party. Coma. Nancy Cruzan was in a car accident. She flipped over on an icy road, ended in a ditch. And Terry Schiavo had a cardiac arrest. They were in their 20s. They had no hope of recovery, permanent vegetative state. I'm sure you've seen pictures, especially of Terry Schiavo, who was all over the news. None of them had an advance directive, and after many years of fighting, the courts finally allowed the families to discontinue life support, but it was years, it was 7, 8 years. They were at the center of landmark cases in the right to die movement and fighting for people to make their own health care decisions. They weren't aware of it, but the pain that their families suffered, you just can't even measure it. Don't let this happen to your family. Create an advance directive. I'm going to say that about 1,000 times in 15 minutes. So, as important as the advance directive are the conversations that you have with your family, anybody that's maybe in charge of your health care if something happens to you. Here are some things to consider. 90% of the people in the United States have heard of advance. They know what they are. 70% have even thought about what they would put in theirs, but only 29% actually did it. And here are the 6 top excuses for not having one. And I say excuses. I picked that word because they are excuses. I'm too young to talk about death. Well, anyone over 18 is not too young. My poster girls in their 20s. Too busy, not enough time. It probably takes maybe an hour to sit down and figure out what you want. I'll die prematurely if I do my advance directive. Yeah, right. If you talk about birth control, you'll probably get pregnant. So, God will take care of me. Well, he might, but he took care of my brother-in-law, but not in the way my brother-in-law wanted. The forms are too complicated. They're really not. They're designed for people with a 5th grade education. So anybody can do them, can fill them out, and you don't need a lawyer. My family knows what to do. This is my favorite because I've been a mediator for almost 20 years. And families at the bedside at end of life is the biggest source of conflict in a hospital setting. They don't know what to do. They're fighting with each other. So there's so much conflict, they don't know what to do. They don't know what you want. They can't agree anyway. Now, here are the 6 top reasons for having an advance directive. Like I said, accidents, anytime, any day. They document your choices, puts you in the driver's seat, even if you can't speak. Your family will likely comply if they know the advance directive came from you. If these are your words and your wishes, they'll say, well, I guess that's really what Mom wanted. The forms are easy, but they require thought. You just can't, it's not boilerplate. You have to think about it. It reduces the burden and guilt for your family because they have a roadmap to go by. It makes those end-of-life, heart-wrenching decisions about pulling the plug. I hate to use that term, but that's just what happens. Off of life support. It's easier when you know that Mom didn't want a feeding tube. She didn't want to live like Karen Ann Quinlan for 8 years, hooked up to life support. And it's a gift. It's a gift for your loved ones. I mean, I was a surrogate for 2 aunts, and I knew exactly what they wanted. It wasn't on me to decide. It was on me to follow through with their wishes. So, When you're doing your advance directive, I just kind of threw this in here because passwords are a big thing. I can't remember my passwords from one day to the next. If you were in a coma tomorrow and say your wife was the one signing the checks, would you have the password to go into her accounts in order to access your money? You really need to have passwords in a place that's secure. Somebody needs to have them. And what about social media? You could be on Facebook for the rest of your, well, it wouldn't be your life because you're dead, but your account would be in Facebook unless you appoint some person to take control of that, and you can go into Facebook and do all that. You need to think about these things. The next slide is from the New Yorker. It's like you forgot to get the kugel recipe. How many times does that happen? My mother used to make lemon meringue pie. It was fabulous. Did I get a recipe? No. Should I? Yeah. And anything else on the bucket list, make sure you do it so you have no regrets. The next page starts with advanced planning forms. And it's kind of like a walkthrough. Like I said, 29% of the people have an advance directive, and by the way, that's up in the last couple of years because people had COVID and were in an ICU and didn't have an advance care directive, and they were thinking, well, I better get one, I better do one, or they saw family members die without one. So that's pretty good, 5% in 2 years. The basics are, number one, almost always in I've never seen it any other way, choose a surrogate. Pick someone you trust, give them the authority to make health care decisions for you when you can't speak for yourself. And the other part is the living will part, where you say what you want for treatment, whether you want to be cremated, whether you want a casket. And my aunt just died this week, and honestly, even though she had an advance directive, she didn't really make her funeral plans. And you could spend all kinds of money in a funeral. Caskets, I saw one for $30,000. So you can say, no, I want to be cremated in a green burial in a forest somewhere. You just have to know you can do that in the state you live in. Organ donation, some people go, no, don't want that, but they'll take your tissues, and that's considered an organ in organ donation. So all of those things go in your living will. You can pre-plan and pay for it all. So it just requires that you put it on paper, sign in front of witnesses, share your copies with your surrogate, and make a video. I say this because if mom makes a video and says, yeah, I don't ever want a feeding tube, and then somebody comes along and says, oh no, we want to keep her alive, we need a feeding tube. No, here she is, you have evidence. And that's really what it is. It's a backup for your advance directive. Arizona offers free forms through the Attorney General, Secretary of State, but they're 29 pages long, including the instructions. I have a law degree, and you know, it's kind of boilerplate. I usually recommend 5 wishes. Prepare is another one. You can download it online and it's free. 5 wishes is $5. I have some over here for free. What are the wishes? Again, number one, who's going to make decisions for me when I can't make them myself? What medical treatment I want? How comfortable I want to be? Do you want to have oils rubbed all over your body? That's in there. How do you want people to treat you? Don't you want a crowd by your bedside or not? I have a client, she doesn't want anybody in the room except her dogs. So that's really what you want. And what you want your loved ones to know. This is your last opportunity to say what you didn't say, and you know, like, I'm sorry, forgive me, whatever it is. And that client, by the way, she added 3 pages to the 5 wishes document of things she wanted, things she didn't want. So you can adapt it to whatever it is you want. When you're looking for a surrogate, here's what to look for. 6 traits. You want someone comfortable making decisions on your behalf, even if they don't agree with your decisions. You need someone with the emotional strength to pull the plug. My daughter, her father couldn't decide what to do with his mother. She was on life support, and my daughter was in nursing school. She was 20. And she said, Nana wouldn't want this. And she said, I think we should take her off life support. Here's a 20-year-old making a decision for her beloved grandmother. So you need someone that's strong enough to make that decision. Someone will stand up for your wishes and not be intimidated or bullied by some doctor who wants to do something you know that your person does not want. You want a person who's not afraid to ask questions. You really want a bulldog. You want me, but I can't be everybody's service. So. And you want someone who's not afraid to ask questions. They don't have to know everything. If there's a problem in an ICU, there's an expert who's going to tell them what the options are, the pluses and the minuses. And so there's somebody there to explain it. They just have to make the decision based on an advance directive. You want someone who's going to be calm in a crisis. You want someone in your lifeboat that's not going to freak out because a shark swims by. That's it. Whenever there's some emergency, you want the person that remains calm. And most important, you want a person who agrees to do it. You can't just pick somebody and not tell them. I've got stories about that, but I only have 15 minutes. So you want someone that understands your wishes and agrees to follow through on them and is available. If they're backpacking in Africa for half the year, that's probably not the person. So what happens if you don't choose? When you have to make a choice and you don't make it, that in and of itself is a choice. Because not choosing is the same as choosing. Someone will be chosen for you, and it may be somebody you don't want, like your least favorite sibling. I have a brother like that. It could be him. Oh my God. Or your eldest child who's irresponsible. I mean, I could name a name here, but I won't. Irresponsible or worse. That who is who, because there's a hierarchy. It could even be a doctor in an ER that you've never even met. Here's his conflict at the bedside, and I've seen this happen. Two brothers, one on each side of the bed, do everything, let them die a natural death. You don't want the conflict. And on some level, I understand that even people in comas understand what's happening around them. They can feel the conflict around them. So another problem is when somebody from California swoops in, hasn't seen mom in 5 years, and knows what she wants. And it goes directly against her advance directive. So you don't want somebody that's going to make that decision for you that really doesn't know you or hasn't had much contact with you. In Arizona, the hierarchy is codified. It's a law. California, I used to live there, so I can say all these things. They don't really have, it's not really a law, like I have a good friend that's an ethics guy out there, and it's, it's a mess, really. There's no real hierarchy. Kind of is, but isn't. So in Arizona, the top is actually a guardian that the court would appoint. Next is your spouse, unless you're legally separated or divorced. Your adult children. Oh, don't tell me. $10. Is that like a 5-minute warning?
No, that's 15 minutes.
Oh my God.
Wrap up what you're sharing and then we'll take questions.
Okay, all right. Then it's your adult children, but they try to get a consensus, and imagine that, I can't even agree. We had to go to dinner with my sister, so I can't imagine us agreeing on something like that. Then it's your parents, if they're alive. Registered domestic partner if you are unmarried, your siblings, and again, it's kind of, they try to get a consensus, and your close friends. And let me just wrap all of this up, man. Nancy Cruzan was responsible for a lot of things, even in a coma. They passed the patient right back. They were working on it in Congress, but all of her whole case came up, went to the Supreme Court. They wouldn't let her parents take her off life support because she didn't have anything written down. So Advance Directives, it shined a light on them, her being in a coma. And then it got thrown back to the lower court. Like the Supreme Court just says, nope, not going to do it. Go back to the other court, see what you can do. And she had conversations with her friends in work. and said, I never want to live like a vegetable. That was the word she used. I never want to do that. And the court accepted the friend's testimony as like an advance directive. And so they allowed her parents to take her off life support. So again, your advance directive is very important, but conversations with your loved ones, with your surrogate, that's really key. So that's, oh, she left the room, so I didn't.
She's back. No, she's back.
All right, so I think you are, she's gonna do a drawing
I have to do
now.
a drawing.
You have my slides. She said I'm a surrogate consultant with the Final Exit Network. Just because you're here today and I'm doing this in conjunction with them, there's free magazines. You can do a membership with them where you get 4 free magazines in a year just to try out a membership. They have a lot of great resources. The 5 Wishes is over there, free for the taking. And thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. 15 minutes goes fast, doesn't it?
It really does.
It really does.
I could have used 3 more minutes.